Let's have a look at some of the machinery here at the Ashley Forest Rallysprint. In previous years, we've seen a good mix of rally cars, truly built in that respect, and circuit cars, which tend to compete quite equally here on this Rallysprint course. On the left of your picture is what could be known as the quintessential rally car, the car that has dominated the world scene for the last couple of years, despite Peugeot's seeming ascendancy this year, the Audi Quattro. Bit over 2 litres, 5-cylinder and 4-wheel drive. This is the car that Hannu Mikkola drove in the International here, and it has now been bought locally by Malcolm Stewart, who's really still getting to grips with learning 4-wheel driving and getting to the extent of this car's limits. To the right of that, you see a circuit car. This is a Toyota Starlet. It's Trevor Crow's. It's the one you've seen all summer around the country on the circuits. He was winner of the Oscar series this year, and it has a 4.5-litre Oldsmobile V8 of about 20 years old. The block in the car, obviously it's been rebuilt since then. It's lengthened in the wheelbase from a normal Starlet by about 3 inches, and there are other modifications, a Muncie gearbox, a Jaguar differential, and lots of bits and pieces from other cars to make up what is a hybrid, what is known as hybrid in rally terms. To the right of that, a conventional rally car, the Wormbuster RX-7. This is what Rodney Millen, the man who was 3 times national rally champion here, 75, 76, 77, and then went to live in the United States. He now builds these cars for rally drivers all over the world. 2 of them have been sold here, one for Neil Allport and this one for Stuart Eyre. But this is 2-wheel drive as opposed to 4-wheel drive. On the way up, on the round of 16. To start the day, number 1, Barry Robinson. The 7th fastest qualifier into this round with 1:8.84. 2.3-litre Chevette. Last year it was 2.5. This year they've stroked it back to 2.3. Still with the 16-valve head on it though. And this year also they've moved the engine back quite a ways, which is really getting into a specialist area, Mike, isn't it?
Yes, this has caused them some problems, Tony. Overnight they've had the drive shaft out of the car, which on the last run during the practice, because of the shorter drive shaft, if the engine moved back, it bent itself on the downhill run where they get airborne. At this point here, where they get airborne here, the drive shaft, because of the shorter arc that it swings, it bent, and they virtually had to drive out of the course without using a lot of power.
I thought moving the engine back would have helped it, but he said if anything, it's more nervous to drive. 1:7.65, which is a very, very fast downhill time because he was only 42 to the top. 1:07.65 for Barry Robinson, showing that he can improve. They hadn't really even done anything to the car or used it before they came here. He said that they got out of an old shed and got all the chickens out of it. Collected the eggs, of course. Now on the line, Rodney Millen. 3rd fastest qualifier with 1:8.49. Now Rodney Millen last time to the top was 41.94. See if he can improve on that. All of them looking to get to the top of the hill quicker. Rodney Millen has spent some time explaining to us that he is having trouble converting back to 2-wheel drive after driving 4-wheel drive for the last 3 or 4 years in the United States. He developed the Mazda RX-7 with 4-wheel drive for the factory, in fact, and has been using it in America where the regulations are a lot more lax than they are here. He's been competing along with John Buffer, who's the other top American. He's got a Quattro.
41.08 to the top would line him up for a time, and the 1:7's the same as Barry Robinson.
I noticed Rodney Millen was very relaxed on Friday, but since the competition started, he hasn't been terribly relaxed at all. 1:6.44, that's a good time.
So I think we can see Rodney's time's improving even further during the day because this course is strange to him, unlike Barry Robinson, who's competed here every year. He's getting to know the blind brows on the way down.
It's quite surprising. In all the years this Rallysprint has been running, Rodney Millen has never been here before.
That's right.
So first time up on the hill. On paper, this is the man to beat. Malcolm Stewart in the Audi Quattro. The fastest qualifier into this round with 1:6.65. As we've seen, Rodney Millen has just been up and beaten that time. Rod Millen's split time was 41.08. Malcolm Stewart's split time was closer to 40 seconds. In fact, by the end of the day, we expect Malcolm Stewart to be at the top hairpin in 40 seconds. I think you were speculating, Mike, that we might even get under 40 seconds at the top.
Yes, I would think about 39 seconds would easily be within the capabilities of the car. And as Malcolm gets to know the car, he'll get down to that time.
We've already seen substantial improvements from Malcolm Stewart. It really is a big... There it is, the first split time of under 40 seconds. Put him really about 1.5 overall, because that is the first in the history of this event. That's the first time we've seen anyone get to the top of the hill in under 40 seconds. 1.559. An excellent time for Malcolm Stewart. As he gets to grips with the car, it is a tremendous exercise for somebody even of Malcolm Stewart's experience to learn four-wheel drive. That is the quickest time so far. Rodney Millen 1.644, Malcolm Stewart 1.559. And now on the line is Tony Teasdale. Tony Teasdale has had as much experience as anybody on this circuit. He knows it very well. He is capable of getting quicker as the day goes on. He was saying yesterday that he had some problems with traction. They weren't quite sure if it was the tyres or the rear suspension that was causing the traction problem, but he seems to think it's better today. Tony Teasdale was the 12th fastest, so he's been down just a little on what we would expect in performance from him. Let's see what his split time is to the top.
So Tony will be fighting to stay in the competition. Only the fastest 8 go through to the next round.
42.28 to the top is not really fast enough. The Nissan 240 RS, two-wheel drive, of course, not four.
265 brake horsepower in this car from a 2.4-litre twin-cam motor.
108.45. Yesterday, that would have been a wonderful time. Today, it might not even get you in the next round.
To the top then. 108.45 coming down.
Tony Teasdale not terribly happy with that time. Understandably, he knows how much the competition is hotting up. And on the line now, Neil Orford. This is another of the RX-7s from the Rodney Millen Newport rallying stable in California. But this one differs from Stuart Ayres and Rodney Millen's, the one that they are driving today, in that it has fiberglass doors and Perspex windows. And they say that they have lost somewhere around 200 pounds of weight. That's quite a lot. Neil Orford was the 4th fastest qualifier with 108.54. You've got a split time for him to the top there, Mike?
Yes, a split time for Neil Orford previously, 42.41 seconds.
And he was the one who found a quicker way around this hairpin, 41.97, a slight improvement. 4th fastest qualifier, 1.854. He needs to improve it. He needs around 1.7 if he can. He should be on target for about 1.7. He gets down this hill very fast indeed.
Roger Freet, Neil's co-driver, was just telling me prior to this run, Tony, that Neil has only spent 4.5 minutes driving this car on gravel roads, so he's learning as he goes.
107.32, that should be enough. Quickest time at the moment, 1.559 Malcolm Stewart's, then 1.644 Rodney Millen, then 1.732 Neil Orford, and 1.765 Barry Robinson. We're only looking for 8 to go through to the next round, the fastest 8. And now the Mayor of Mataura, Inky Tulloch, the BDA escort. Inky Tulloch was the 6th fastest qualifier, 1.861.
Yes, Inky comes here fresh from winning last weekend's main freight rally.
He had a split time to the top of 42.23, which was a little slow considering his overall of 1861. For 1861, 42.2 was actually a very slow split. So he's quick downhill. This car has recently been reshelled and rebuilt after a rather nasty accident. 41.55, so he's improved it to the top. 41.55 should give him about 1.7, low 1.7s.
Yes, Inky Tulloch's time to the top was marginally faster than that of Neil Allport's, and Neil did a time of 18.54.
Inky Tulloch hasn't traditionally been as quick down the hill. 1.676, that's a superb time. For a BDA Escort, that is superb.
That's the fastest time we've seen from an Escort on this course. Previous fastest was set by Paul Adams at his Escort, 18.77. So we're 2 seconds under.
That's actually the car that Hugh and Lloyd Owen are driving, have been driving in the qualifying rounds. So that's a good time for Inky Tulloch. And now Kim Austin in the Chevette with the 308 Holden motor in it. It's got a Holden Trimatic transmission and a Datsun 160J rear end. So this is another of what we call hybrids. It has bits and pieces from a variety of different motor cars. He's got a false start, obviously. He's seen the light. He's coming back. Kim Austin from Waitakaruru turned in a time to qualify of 1903, which for a built-up hybrid of very small budget is an excellent time. I think that probably has to be the pertinent point about this car, is the budget to build it.
Yes, in the days when some of the other competing cars here, Tony, are costing $250,000, this one's looking pretty low budget.
It's looking pretty good at about $7,000 or $8,000.
It's looking really good. And what's more, it's not that much slower.
As we've seen in the past, hybrids are capable here of putting up very good times. You may remember a couple of years ago that Max Irwin, the Pukekohe farmer, used to have a Mark 1 Escort with a big alloy V8 in it, and he put up phenomenal times as well. You hear the automatic transmission. The 308 motor winding up.
He has to be left foot braking going into that corner, Tony.
I notice he's losing some fluid out of the front too. I'm not sure if it's radiator water. Seems to have stopped now. There's a little bit of a drip there. Doesn't matter too much in only a mile or so. 42.79 was his split time before. See if he can improve. 41.57. He is still losing fluid out of the front of it. Might be just a warm engine. They should get down at about 1.7 thereabouts. 1.75. So that's again a low-budget hybrid built-up car out of bits and pieces. I think Kim Austin wouldn't be offended if we said it was built out of bits and pieces. A low-budget car being competitive again. Excellent time. Number 8, Les Harris from Greymouth, the BDA Escort. He had the 5th fastest time of 1860, so just 100th in front of Inky Tulloch he was in qualifying. And his split time was 42.51.
So once again, Les Harris's car blowing a lot of smoke.
And it seems to get rid of it halfway up the hill. It's blowing more smoke than it was yesterday, certainly. The split to beat. He's gone very well, Les Harris. 42.25, so slightly quicker.
Liz Harris was the fastest escort in yesterday's practice competition.
Enki Tulloch knocked him off that perch a little while ago. Excellent crowd for the rally sprint today. All being treated to quite a spectacle here. There's some wide tail styles in amongst them, I can assure you. At the top of the hill, 1:8.88. Now that might be enough just to put him out. It's going to be borderline, that one, because we've got 1:5.59, 1:6.44, 1:6.76, and 3 in the 1:7s. And now a man that might surprise them all, Possum Born from Pukekohe. And I know several people were wandering around the pits yesterday saying this Subaru is at the limit of its performance. We all know how well Possum Born can get the best out of a car, and certainly since Subarus have been rallying in this country, he has been at the forefront and certainly has extracted more performance than anybody else. Possum Born had a 43.06 split, and then he came down at 1:9.76, so he's very fast downhill.
When you see the improvement that Possum Born has made in his time since he got to grips with four-wheel drive, I wonder what Malcolm Stewart's going to do when he gets in touch with that car of his.
Yeah, Possum Born, in fact, has come down from 15.85, 9.76. Enormous times taken off.
What we saw there was one of the problems with four-wheel drive. On a tight corner such as that, you can't lock up the rear wheels and slide the back around. All the wheels must be turning because they're all connected together.
Time to beat at the moment, 1:8.88. That, of course, changes if anybody goes quicker. Outside. Bad luck for Possum Born. That's the end of his road. So the time to beat is still at 1:8.88. Les Harris of Greymount. And now Gary Smith from Tokoroa in the escort, another BDA. And he is another who has improved his times by a ridiculous rate. He came down in one run from 13.06 to 10.86 and then did a 10.45. Gary Smith has been here before. He used to be Tony Teasdale's co-driver, in fact. But he hasn't been here before in the driver's seat.
The car that Gary is driving today is a car that's been around the New Zealand rallying scene for some time, previously driven by Jim Donald, Malcolm Stewart.
Gary Smith was the 14th fastest qualifier. We don't really expect those down around 14, 15, 16 fastest qualifiers to upset any of the top seeds.
41.8 to the top, Tony. That is an excellent time for an
Incredibly
escort.
fast. That's an improvement from yesterday of 43, or in fact this morning, 43.39. There's that time to beat.
Gary Smith knows that he's a borderline qualifier. He'll be trying everything he can to get through into the fastest 8.
Oh, he's just done it. 1:7.89. And 1:07.89, I think. No, it's not the new cut-off point. In fact, 1:08.45 is now the cut-off point. Tony Teasdale is on the borderline. If anybody goes quicker than that, he's out.
And here's a man who can possibly do it.
So I think Trevor Crow's likely to upset the apple cart. This, like Kim Austin's Chevette, is a hybrid. The Toyota Starlet, lengthened in the wheelbase, and with a 4.5-litre Oldsmobile V8, Muncie gearbox, Jag diff. And he's not quite sure what revs he can pull on it, but he says in top gear coming down the hill, he doesn't worry too much about the rev counter, he just floors it.
Trevor was a very fast qualifier last year, but in the final run-offs, he had a problem with the rear suspension, which didn't become evident until he got the car home. But one of the rear links had come loose, or it had slotted its hole, and it was moving backwards and forwards, making the car unstable. Today he's got it all right, and he expects a good time.
Now, he's very fast downhill. He had 41.97 last time, 41.28 this time. So it's a faster split. That time to beat's 1:8.45. Trevor Crowe is pulling 5th gear on the last stages of this downhill piece. (1:6.92). Superb timing. We've just got a new cut-off point, and Trevor Crowe is in. That's amazing. 1:6.92 in a built-up hybrid circuit racing car, and it's only slightly slower than Malcolm Stewart in an enormously more expensive Audi Quattro. Hugh Owen from Plymouth in the BDA Escort. He had 1:11.63 earlier in the day and brought it down in the first qualifying run today to 1:9.49. Hugh Owen was the 9th fastest qualifier. So if he can improve at a similar rate, it's within his capabilities to get to the next round of 8. But the time he's got to beat is 1:07.85, 1:07.89. Trying to do these sums as we go along. 1:07.89 is now the time to beat.
That time was set by Gary Smith, so it's Gary Smith that's sitting there wondering if he's going to be into the next round.
And interesting to note that Tony Teasdale, that we would have thought would be right in the hunt, is out already. He's missed the cut-off. .1:08.53 is not fast enough for Hugh Owen. So into the round of 8, it seems that Malcolm Stewart in the Audi Quattro is the man to beat. It just depends how quickly he gets to grips with the car, because the dark horse right behind him is Rodney Millen, 1:06.44. The next qualifier is Inky Tulloch, the fastest of the Escort drivers, then Trevor Crowe, Neil Allport, Kim Austin, Barry Robinson and Gary Smith. The unluckiest man of all, not quite making the cut-off, was Tony Teasdale, just too slow at 1:08.43. So the 8 starters ready to go. First up, they go in numerical order, of course, is the 7th fastest qualifier, Barry Robinson, in the Chevette. 1:07.65 his qualifying time. All those in the second half of the 8, of course, have to improve their times. We halve the field each time. And one imagines that Malcolm Stewart, Rodney Millen and perhaps Inky Tulloch are going to get quicker. So those down around like Barry Robinson in 7th and 8th fastest qualifying positions really need a bigger improvement.
Barry Robinson has got it really going here today. Wasting no time at all coming out of the corners.
He was 42 dead to the top of the hill last time.
41.34. Barry Robinson is traditionally quick down the hill. Hello, he's got a problem here. Now that could spell the finish for Barry Robinson. Problem with his gearbox or the like. Coming out of that hairpin at the top.
Just wonder if they might have bent another half shaft.
No, he's going again now.
Oh, bad luck for Barry Robinson, because 1:10.57, unless there are drastic, dire happenings occurring to all the other drivers, is not going to be anywhere near fast enough.
Must be a change.
Barry Robinson will know that that's not quick enough to get him any further, and he might as well load it on the trailer and go home. Rodney Millen on the line now. Rodney Millen, the 2nd fastest qualifier, with 1:06.44. And a very quick time to the top for Rodney Millen last time too, 41.08.
So Rodney makes up a lot of time in this next series of corners, Tony. You watch him through here. When I rode with him yesterday, he was very, very neat and quick. Now, just this section through here is where I think he makes up a lot of time. Keeps it straight through those corners. A bit wide that time, though.
Lost a little bit of time there, I think.
Because Rodney won't be happy with that.
41.82. And last time it was 41.08, so just slightly not really enough to worry about. He should come out on about the same time. Rodney Millen, the hallmark of his driving when he was in New Zealand was always the smoothness with which he drove. A lot of other drivers around going as fast, but not as smoothly. 1:7.47. Well, he won't be terribly happy, and quite a colourful exhaust on the way down. 1:7.47 from Rodney Millen.
Yes, that time could be a borderline time, Tony.
It's what the nature of this event is. It's really comes down to pressure. Each consecutive round, you've got to get going quicker. Now, in all theory, or looking at all the specifications of all the cars on paper, Malcolm Stewart really should be a clear winner.
Malcolm is looking for a split time to the top of around the 39 seconds that he did last time.
Despite my juxtaposition yesterday, this, of course, is an international four-wheel drive rally car in Group B specs, and Possum-born Subaru is a Group A car. But this is as good as you can buy in the world rallying scene at the moment. 39.06, so again he's to the top of the hill in under 40 seconds. He's the only man that has ever done it on this course.
Bear in mind that the course record set by Reg Cook in 1984, 1 minute 4.96. Be interesting to see if Malcolm Stewart can knock that time off today.
And that was set in a circuit car, two-wheel drive, not four-wheel drive. 1:6.08, so he's going slower. That's good news for Rodney Millen, because I think Rodney Millen's 1:7.47 will get him in now. I had expected Malcolm Stewart perhaps to go under 1:5 then, which really would have put the pressure on everybody else, but it's coming slowly for Malcolm Stewart in the four-wheel drive Audi Quattro. Neil Allport now, the 5th fastest qualifier.
Regular watchers of the Ashley Forest Rallysprint will notice that this time the track is a bit damper. There's no dust, and for this reason, at this year's event, we've not had the problem with the drivers have of wondering which tyres to use. It's clearly a day to be using the M&S Knobbly rally type tyres rather than the racing tyres.
It's strange, though, discussing this yesterday, Mike, that a lot of those who have used A2s in the past in the second and third rounds have come back to M&Ss for the final.
Yes, it would seem that on this circuit that the M&Ss are probably the best tyre in most conditions.
40.83 is a very quick time to the top for Neil Allport in the two-wheel drive RX-7. I think that's the quickest we've seen in a two-wheel drive car. 40.83 to the top. Remember, only Malcolm Stewart has gone under 40 seconds.
Neil's previous time of 1:7.32 looks like he'll better that quite comfortably.
1:6.24. Well,
1:6.24.
There's a few turn-ups here. Never underestimate Neil Allport's ability to go quicker. He has always been very good at rally sprints for that reason. He can go up and take more time off, and when the pressure's on, he responds beautifully. Inky Tulloch on the line now. Inky Tulloch, 3rd fastest qualifier. The quickest escort by a country mile. And that time that Inky Tulloch turned in last round of 1:6.75, that really is an excellent time for an escort.
So you'll notice when the cars get away from the line at the moment, Tony, even the escorts are bogging down. They're not wheel spinning at all. The traction away from the line at the moment is extremely good. And the four-wheel drive Quattro won't be having the advantage that you'd normally expect of it.
Quoting some times from previous years, the 1980 rally sprint was actually won in 1:10.81, which was about the cut-off point for the slowest of the 16 this year. That's the improvement over the years. 41.45 to the top for Inky Tulloch. That's an improvement for him, I think, too. We'll just check through his other time. 41.55. So it's a tenth quicker to the top. And he's certainly coming down quicker than he was yesterday. 1709.
1709.
So just slightly quicker than Rodney Millen at 1747. At the moment it goes Malcolm Stewart 1608, Neil Allport 1624, Rodney Millen 1747. Sorry, the other way round. Inky Tulloch 1709 and then Rod Millen 1747.
Now just looking at the situation at the moment, Tony, Rod Millen at 1747 is the fourth fastest qualifier. So he's
that's the cutoff. That's the cutoff point.
That is the cutoff point. If anyone goes quicker than 1747, Rod Millen will be out. Two people capable of doing this. Kim Austin and Trevor Crowe, their hybrid V8 powered cars.
Kim Austin getting traction on the ground very well, getting that big talking 308 Holden V8 powered up. Kim Austin has surprised a lot of people here.
He's got enough power to do a quicker time than he's done in the past.
He was sixth fastest qualifier with 1750.
Kim Austin breaks 41 seconds to the top. Rod Millen is in trouble, and I think that Rod Millen could be in trouble with a time of 40.7 to the top.
40.7 is phenomenally fast. That's a lot of that's to do with the horsepower up the hill, but bear in mind that these Chevettes have traditionally always been faster downhill than up. That's the time to beat. 1747 belongs to Rod Millen. That's the cutoff. 1616. Rodney Millen's out. Wow, Kim Austin's in at the moment. Remains to be seen if Gary Smith can go quicker. I would doubt it. 107.09 is Inky Tulloch's time, and that's the cut-off at the moment in the same car as Gary Smith's about to go up and down.
And a good start for Gary Smith. Clean out of the chute there.
Which means he's got about 1.44
With a previous best time of 1789, it's also quite possible that Gary Smith can qualify. His previous best time to the top of the hill, 41.8. No, he's lost a bit.
Lost a bit on the exit too.
He's coupled with that mistake at the top. It's quite sure that Gary Smith will be eliminated.
I think that's waved goodbye to Gary Smith, but Kim Austin's in. Malcolm Stewart is in. Neil Allport is in.
Trevor Crowe yet to run.
Gary Smith's out. So there's the cutoff, 1709. Rodney Millen out. And still Malcolm Stewart, the man to beat in terms of times. A good effort from Gary Smith. Not a particularly experienced driver. A very experienced co-driver. Here's Trevor Crowe. The last one with a chance to make it into the next round of 4. He said before it started he'd be happy with making the round of 8. Anything else was a bonus. A little bit of trouble with wheel spin.
But a rooster tail of dirt coming up like a jet boat, Tony.
Good horsepower he gets out of this. What is essentially about a 20-year-old engine. The Oldsmobile, 4.2 litre. This one is 4.5 litre. 44.5's quick. He got it out of it all right too. It looked as though he might have just overdone it on the hairpin, but he got out quite safely. 1:7:09.
Previous time for Trevor Crowe, 1:6.92.
We know he's capable of it. He's getting down the hill quick. 1:5.36.
Fastest time so far.
Woohoo! Trevor Crowe in the build-up circuit car that really has changed very little to come here to the Ashley Forest Rally Sprint. Well, that's just continuing Reg Cook's theories of the last 2 or 3 years. You can do it in a hybrid, you can do it in a circuit car. Well, 2 big surprises out of that round of 8 and into the round of 4. One is that Rodney Millen has been excluded, and the other is that the quickest time of the day has gone to Trevor Crowe, 1:5.36, the fastest qualifier into the round of 4, then 1:6.08 to Malcolm Stewart, 1:6.16 to Kim Austin, that's a surprise as well with a big hybrid, and 1:6.24 for Neil Allport. Into the semi-final now. The first up is Malcolm Stewart in the Audi Quattro 4-wheel drive, and one of the problems they've had with the 4-wheel drive cars, the 2 of them here at this year's event, is that they've had to modify the starting system. It's normally a hockey stick that just gets depressed under the front wheel, but of course the front wheels are driving as well in the Audi, so we have a little wand stuck on the end. They modified the system last night, and as they go past, it triggers it. They saw the start triggered, but it didn't work on that occasion. Still a few teething problems. A red light for a false start, and Malcolm Stewart will have to come back again. They had some problems yesterday with the front wheels running over and, of course, driving, and they just skewed the hockey stick so that it wouldn't start and give a pulse.
So Malcolm Stewart has a problem reversing this car with the big oil cooler in the rear spoiler. Can't see a thing. He's looking in his mirrors here as he comes backwards. Yep.
I guess he'd have got some practice on the farm from backing tractors and trailers, wouldn't he?
That's right. Now here's another problem that's just cropped up. The clouds have gone up the top of the hill and the sun is out. We've seen on previous years that as you approach the top hairpin, the sun is right in the driver's eyes later in the afternoon.
And it's not always the same for everybody. Obviously, some cars are better suited to that problem than others. Tony Teasdale was explaining to us a while ago that the Nissan 240 RS has such a steep rake on the windscreen that the glare doesn't become as much of a problem as it does in some of the other cars with a straight up and down windscreen. But when you get up to the top, approaching that hairpin, it is almost blinding. You virtually can't see a thing. And if somebody gets a run when there are clouds there and the next person gets a run with the sun, that is a distinct advantage.
Now that's a problem for Malcolm Stewart.
Well, we said at the start of this round that what it comes down to now is who responds to pressure. Now Malcolm Stewart has enough pressure on him in getting to grips with a new car. The pressure that becomes evident on drivers when they get down to the semi and quarterfinals is even more. He's lost over 2 seconds to the top. This may be the last run for Malcolm Stewart, who on paper was the favourite for the event. Certainly the car was the favourite.
So we're looking at a time, it has to be in the 1:06 seconds to be considered a qualifier for the final. No, certainly Malcolm Stewart will be out.
1:9.15, and I think we have at least 2 people of the 4 who can do better than that. Is it going to be Trevor Crowe, Kim Austin, or Trevor Crowe, Neil Allport, or Kim Austin, Neil Allport? Only 2 can go through to the final. Neil Allport now. Now here's a man who responds to pressure very well indeed, as does his co-driver Roger Freeth. Dr. Roger Freeth, the man of motorcycle racing frame, just won at Bathurst a little while ago. A very good co-driver as well, has co-driven on international events. And he has an uncanny ability to be able to tell a driver where he's losing and where he's gaining time.
Yes, that was a better start for Neil Allport. And the previous times he's actually bogged down a bit at the start. Got away cleanly that time.
And if there's any word that comes to mind when you talk about Neil Allport's driving, it is aggression. He has always been a very aggressive driver, PDA escorts particularly.
Neil's previous best time to the top of the hill was 40.83. So we'll be looking for a time of 40 to 41 seconds to put Neil through to the final.
Yes, he got out of it nicely too.
Yes, well, he's right on cue.
This comes down to around, what, 1.6, high sixes?
Somewhere in the 1.6s.
Just have a look at him downhill. Just have a look at how hard Neil Allport drives this car. He really has got this downhill piece down to a T. 1.6.31. So Neil Allport is in at this stage. It remains to be seen whether Trevor Crowe or Kim Austin can put Neil Allport out.
Yes,
at the moment, Malcolm Stewart and Neil Allport are in, but only 2 have run.
Yes, Neil's not safe yet because both Trevor Crowe and Kim Austin were faster than that time of 1.631 on their previous run. So they're both capable of doing it, as we've seen them do it already today here.
Really does come down to pressure, and I can remember when this fella turned up as an unknown a couple of years ago, you were making comment about the cold blue eyes. He doesn't really fade under pressure, does he?
No, he seems to love the pressure.
Kim Austin from Waitakaruru.
Kim has been here before. He knows about the problem with the sun. Cleaning his sunglasses.
The Chevette with a 308 Holden in it. And automatic transmission. No problems with gear changes off the line. And once again, spraying the water out of the radiator.
That could be a head gasket that's blowing, pressurizing the water system.
Doesn't seem to be affecting his power too much. Kim Austin's split time was 41.57. And even with a time of 41.57, he got down in 1.751.
41.24.
Last round to get into here, he did 1.616. .1915 is the time to beat at this stage, and he's done it. Well, the water's not spraying out underneath now, it's spraying out upwards. Kim Austin has overdone it.
Yes, well, this is one of the problems of the pressure on these drivers. They're looking for every last tenth of a second.
He's one we didn't expect to make mistakes under pressure, but it just goes to show how much that pressure shows.
Yes, motorsport is a very unforgiving sport. If this were golf, he'd be able to put down another ball and have another shot, but I'm afraid that Kim Austin is out of the competition today.
All of which is good luck for Malcolm Stewart at the moment, because he's still in, at least until Trevor Crowe runs.
So the car's back on its wheels again now.
That's the right way now. The car's up the right way. It's boarding again.
Both driver and co-driver are okay. That's the main thing. The car is not substantially damaged. A bit of a ding in the roof. And I would imagine they'll get it down to the bottom before too terribly long and get the track clear. Well, that's bad luck for Kim Austin, and obviously he's out, but it, in a funny sort of way, is very good luck for Trevor Crowe, because he's the last to run, and he only has to beat 1915. Malcolm Stewart made a mistake and came down at 1915. So really, it's very simple for Trevor Crowe. Having only to beat 19, he knows he's well capable of doing that without pushing himself or the car or taking any silly risks. He's normally a good man under pressure, and he will have sussed out exactly what he needs, because Neil Allport's done 1.631. He's definitely one finalist, and Trevor Crowe looks like being the other if he can beat 1915, which is Malcolm Stewart's time.
Well, just looking at Trevor Crowe coming up here, he's certainly not taking it easily. He's driving it as hard as he can. And 40.4 to the top corner.
That's the fourth fastest time of the day to the top corner.
Trevor Crowe very, very quick down the hill.
And with a time of 40 to the top, he's well and truly inside 1.7.
Well, I imagine also, Tony, that Trevor Crowe will be trying to put pressure on Neil Allport by posting a really quick time this time. and then sending Neil off first up the hill next time.
So a very costly mistake for Malcolm Stewart in the Audi Quattro, only posting 1915. That left Neil Allport at 1631, a definite qualifier for the final. And then Trevor Crowe came down and has now put all the pressure on Neil Allport with a 1509. And so to round 6, which of course is the final. Trevor Crowe. And so to round 6, which of course is the final. That's Neil Allport lined up on the line. Trevor Crowe was the fastest qualifier, and as such he gets the choice of going first or second. He has opted to let Neil Allport go up and try and beat his time, rather than go up himself and let Neil Allport beat his time. Neil Allport last time with a 1631, and we already know that Trevor Crowe can do 509.
Yes, Neil got a bit untidy back there, Tony. He might have just lost a second or two.
He's the 1983 winner of this event.
Neil's previous split at the top was 40.83.
41.52, so he had lost time. It doesn't really matter what he's posted before or what he posts in split times before. It's all irrelevant because it only depends on this round. It is simply a case of Neil Allport posting a time and Trevor Crowe trying to beat it. 1674.
Yes, well, that time's good enough to keep Trevor Crowe honest in the final.
As we've already seen from the last run-up, Trevor Crowe's capable of better than that. Can he do it now, is the question. As is always the case in rally sprints, it comes down to whether or not the driver can respond and hang it all together now, at the time that it matters. Anything he's done previously is irrelevant. Trevor Crowe knows he's capable of a better time, but he knows he can't put a foot wrong in doing it. I'm going to be intrigued to see now if he can get to the top in under 40 seconds.
Yes, that's what we'll want to see. It'll also be interesting to see if he can bowl over Reg Cook's course record of 1 minute 4.96.
Be very surprised if that goes, but if anybody's going to do it, I think Trevor Crowe will today. Now, Trevor Crowe will know when he gets to the top what his split time is, just as quickly as we will. The co-driver will have a stopwatch there and give him a split time. 42.5. And a good exit. He's on target for 1.5. He may even get in the low 1.5s. I think he's going to beat 1674.
He could be on target for a course record.
There will be no more surprised person than Trevor Crowe himself if he wins this event. He did not expect to get past the round of 8. 1472, new course record. 1472 for Trevor Crowe. The Christchurch circuit driver has just broken Reg Cook's circuit record of 149. And that's the rally sprint.